career, as Margot mentioned, in the tech field, right? I started as a developer. I became a business analyst, project manager, and a manager of different applications, such as things like Windows, applications and technologies like Windows, Unix, Linux, enterprise architecture, all different kinds of things that actually led me to where I am here today, which is a global tech exec. I've spent most of my career here at Toyota in North America. I spent 2 years in Japan as well. And I'd like to share with you today some of my experiences working for a global Japanese company. So I think the most important thing that I've learned is to be like bamboo. I took this photo while walking in the bamboo forest in Kyoto. It reminds me to be flexible, strong, and fast growing. And you can see it here in my background as well. I'm often asked, well, how did I get to live in Japan? Like, how did you get to have that kind of an opportunity? And I'm always looking a few years out, right? Both from a personal perspective and a professional perspective. Where's my work headed? Where am I headed? And so it was during these discussions with my mentors and my direct manager that I started asking about a rotation, opportunities maybe to work in Japan or take a rotation outside of IT, outside of the tech world, and work in the business side of Toyota. I thought it was through these relationships and through direct working relationships that I was asked to take an intercompany transfer to Japan for 2 years. I would work in a new global team to create Toyota's global IT strategy. I was very excited, fantastic. After a few months of daily Japanese lessons, off I went. But I want to talk about a couple of first things when it comes to bamboo, right? So there was a few firsts that made me be more flexible. My girlfriend and I were the first 2 girls on the boys cross-country team. My coach later started our high school's very first cross-country team. I was also the first in my family to graduate from college, and now the first senior IT manager to go and live in Japan. And there's my personal first too, to live in a different country. So this are a few of my friends from high school, a few of my firsts. But then, as I started to think about Japan, here I went around the world to Japan. I always say it was very hard and fun at the same time. My husband and I decided together we would move to Japan. He's a battery scientist, so it seemed likely that he'd be able to get a job and we'd be together. But as he looked for positions and we neared time to leave, he still didn't have a job. So we decided that we would pick a centrally located place to live and keep options open for him. 2 weeks before I had to move to Japan, he was offered a position and joined me in a couple of months on our journey. So that worked out great, but it was a little bit difficult and sweaty thinking about moving to Japan without him. We lived in central Nagoya, so that meant I would ride 3 trains and take 1 hour and 20 minutes to get to work. I was okay with that. I was from LA, where it was taking me more than 1 hour to get to work. So I thought at least my commute would be guaranteed. In my first week at work, though, there was a typhoon. I thought I was doing well. I put on my gear. I walked 10 minutes to the train station. I took 3 trains to get to work in and out of the typhoon. I was 100 meters to the office when I turned the corner and my umbrella turned inside out. My hood blew off. I was soaked from head to toe in seconds. And I learned a lot about being flexible, like bamboo, on that day. I went into work and I noticed that all the other women had hair dryers, makeup, change of clothes at work. That's a good idea, but I only had a change of socks. So I washed my face, I put my hair in a ponytail, I put on my dry socks, and I went into work soaking wet. After that, I had to change my hairstyle. I bought different makeup. I found myself some clothes that either dried fast or didn't change color when they got wet. Oh, and I bought a few umbrellas. Coming from Southern California, the only umbrella I owned was one that barely worked. It was stored in the trunk of my car and basically broken every other couple of years when I decided to take it out and use it. In Japan, I found out I needed 4 kinds of umbrellas: a small folding one, a medium one, a very strong one with many tines for a larger circumference to protect me from the typhoon, and of course, a sunbrella for the summer. So in addition to making a few personal changes, I needed to make some schedule changes too to support the global relationships. The relationships are super important. So that means a global career means a global schedule. As I bet many of you understand, as we're sitting here in a global conference, there's no good time. In the US, global meetings happen early in the morning. In Europe, they happen in the afternoon. And in Japan, they happen late at night. So to build those relationships, you have to make yourself available. You can't just email people. You have to talk with them. You have to visit with them. You have to build strong relationships as you go. So while I lived in Japan, I helped create Toyota's global IT strategy. To do that, we gained buy-in from the CIOs from the 4 primary Toyota regions, from Japan, Asia Pacific, Europe, and North America. We met with them. When they visited Japan, we visited them there in their space, and we orchestrated these global CIO meetings that you see here on the screen. This really took some strength to get everyone aligned, several around the world trips, some coffee, but not too much, and some sleeping whenever I could. When I came home from Japan, though, I wasn't really prepared for what might happen next. My primary focus was leading the North American project management office when I returned home from Japan. In addition, I started investigating Agile. Time to be like bamboo again and grow fast. It turned out, luckily for me, though, it turned out Scrum was based on the Toyota production system and the Toyota way. That was helpful, and I already knew about those. So I sought out some experts to learn from them. I met with Nanaka-san, who is one of the co-authors of the new product development game. And I met with him in Tokyo. And during an interview with him, he shared that his HBR article is actually based on Toyota's ways of working. So I began learning, teaching, and showing how to change the way we work at Toyota, because actually what he had based his Scrum article on was the Toyota production system in the plants. But in IT and in the business, we didn't do Scrum or Agile or very much of the Toyota way. As things started working in North America, I also knew I wanted to share this globally to help IT grow globally. So no one was officially using Agile, so I pitched it. I went to Japan. I shared our learnings in North America. At first, the global CIO in Japan wasn't sure what I was talking about or how he could help. But because of our strong relationship and his experience seeing my work in Japan, he was willing to listen and willing to continue the dialogue with me. Over a few years, he saw our work grow, Kaizen, which means improve, and deliver. He started pitching himself for Agile. The global CIO of Toyota was pitching Agile because I planted the seed with him. So truly, my relationships from living in Japan opened doors around the world that you can kind of see on this map. So not only did I start with US and Japan, because I knew people all around the world from my living in Japan and working on the strategy, I was able to engage all of these other countries to work on this journey to Agile. So navigating global leadership careers, it's all about relationship, execution, and enjoying what you do. It's not about promotions, by the way. It's about enjoying it. So after leading several large programs, including driving agility from 9 to 90% here in North America and 50% globally, I decided I should look at how to contribute more. So again, I talked to my boss, I talked to my mentors to gain their insights. I ended up developing a list of 3 growth areas for me. I started thinking about consumer platforms for Toyota, data science, and cybersecurity. So what happened? I started a position with the cybersecurity team, taking along my business acumen, my agile experience and large program development, and also my global experiences. I was able to start this job leading the cyber risk and operations management team. The team's fantastic. They're flexible, agile, they're strong, smart, fast growing. Actually, no kidding, they have to keep up with the bad guys, so they must be fast growing. So tactically, how do I do these kinds of things? I wanted to share with you. So you need to take feedback and advice. You should build your own board of directors, your personal board of directors, consisting of your family, your parents, your mentors at work, your mentors outside of work, your friends, your teachers. All of these different kinds of people will provide you different views into how you can improve and things that you do well. You also might need, and you might need to be, a sponsor. Your sponsor for you needs to know your work. And you should be a sponsor for others as well, right? We should always be giving back to who we are, no matter what level you are in the organization. I really would not be where I am today without sponsors, as I mentioned, and people like my parents, my cross-country coach, and my husband. Another thing I think is really important is for you to do what you love. I feel strongly about this, that you have to be passionate and love your work. So you may love many things. That's okay. I like a lot of things too. So you need to prioritize the things that you love and pursue them. So learning is key for me. I love to learn. I love to read. Technology and teamwork and family. So all of those things are very important to me. And so I weave them into what I do every day. I think the other thing that comes up is if you're uncomfortable with where you are today, or if you're feeling difficulties about your job or about how you're interacting with others at work, then I think you should look and change your circumstance. Start the change yourself. Be the change, right? You guys all know that. You don't have to have a big idea, though. And I think that's what's really important. Never think about it that way. Think about the things that you can do, the things that you want to do for yourself, for people, and for your business. Here's what I did. I started the Women's Business Partnering Group in 2006. We started with 5 members. Our first event was 70 members. Actually, that event in the picture we had, that was our kickoff, and 200 people showed up. You can see there was standing room only, so I didn't think that many people would begin. Today, we have more than 1,000 members. And on the right-hand side, I also started the North American Women's Conference in 2011. Sorry, that was where we started with 70 attendees. We started with a small group. It wasn't a big, giant idea. 70 people was very manageable to us at the time. Now we have a conference held every year. I think this last year it was over 600 people, and that also has people starting to come from around the world within Toyota. So this is a Toyota North America Women's Conference. So kind of in closing, I want you to think about doing what you love, right? Prioritizing the things in your life, the things that are important to you, and pursuing your interests by doing excellent work. I think all of these things that I've talked about kind of come together when you can show that through your work, through your outcomes, through your value. So be like bamboo, be flexible, be strong, and be fast growing. Thank you. Thanks, Margot.
Hi, Debbie. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. We have a lot of positive comments coming through in the chat, really agreeing with you when it comes to building relationships and cross-culture. when you're going through this experience and kind of sharing with us these, I liked your comparison, shall we say, to bamboo. I'm doing this like I'm bamboo in the wind. What piece of your journey and of these skills that you found in yourself really like resonated with you? Was there one thing that kind of really stood out, even when you were saying like putting together this presentation for us?
Yeah, I think recognizing when I was living in Japan, I didn't really recognize how important all the relationships were. I was kind of blind about that. I thought, okay, I'm going to go live in Japan. I'm going to be in Japan, and then I'm going to come home and kind of go back to my old job. But when I came back to my old job, I started doing it like I used to. And then I started realizing, well, maybe I should contact somebody in Australia. I remember he did this before. Or maybe I should contact somebody in Belgium because I remember that he had some experience. And so it was a surprise to me that this global network could be used to improve my work, my day-to-day work, and then eventually help me to spread improvement across Toyota. So I think that was really surprising to me. And I would want to share that so that people could be more proactive about it than I was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we all heard you throughout your presentation today, but would you say there's like one standout tip of how best to stay in contact with these people and relationships, like especially when you're not located near them? I know so many people on these calls are making new connections on LinkedIn right now, today at the conference, and they're trying to stay in contact with people, but they don't always want to feel like they're like risking spamming someone. Do you have like a hot tip for us, Debbie, on the best way to keep those relationships strong when remote?
Yeah, just do it, right? So if you meet somebody, don't be bashful, don't be shy. They probably want to talk to you too. So I would say set up the time, set up the meeting with them. People sometimes are bashful to reach out to me. I will always take the time to meet someone. And you'll know if it clicks over time, right? But go ahead, schedule the time, schedule some repeating time if it clicks, right? Don't let that lead go dry.
Yeah. I think that's a great call out, Debbie. It's like with so many things in life, you just have to take those steps and just do it. So that's a perfect note for us to end on here together, Debbie. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Margot. My pleasure. It was great to see you.
You too.